Good afternoon, everybody. It's Garden Eden here, and welcome back to another discussion video, this time of the Pokemon anime. We're talking about Pokemon Horizons today, which, as of the time of recording this video, has recently aired episode 137 in Japan. Now, Pokemon has been a part of some of the most influential years of my life. I'm 37 years old. I'm about to be 38 in 2 months, so I've seen the entire birth of Pokemon all the way to where we are now. And Pokemon Horizons has been a series that I have noticed I've had a lot of trouble connecting with. And it's not the characters, it's not the story. I'm not going into this being a hater any more than I went into any of the other shows being a hater, which is to say I really didn't go in there with that mindset. And I really didn't think that Ash was the end all be all of Pokemon, and I wasn't gonna be like I can't accept anybody else. I accepted Liko pretty instantly. Within the first 3 episodes, I felt she brought a lot to the table as a character. She was distinct enough from all of the other female leads that they had brought into the show previously. I really think she came into her own element, and I liked the highlights of Liko, Roy, and Dot in terms of how they engage with the Pokemon world. So, what's my problem with it? I'm not going to bury the lead. Here's the big issue. The issue that I had with Pokemon Horizons is its one-dimensional portrayal of trainer and Pokemon bonds. The only singular exception is Spinel and Umbreon, because that is the one that clearly and demonstratively, in a no other way to interpret it action, demonstrated a Pokemon's bond with the trainer and its own displeasure and adversity towards its trainer. But Pokemon Horizons otherwise had none of that. Part of what made Pokemon so engaging as a series was not only watching flawed trainers and flawed characters going through things, screwing things up, and having to overcome them and become better, but watching flawed Pokemon screw up and having to overcome those adversities to become better. And how in the world is a Chimchar that was abandoned by its trainer, abused by its trainer, that cannot control its blaze, supposed to overcome that adversity with this brash, overactive, overeager trainer from Pallet Town? Like, how are all of these how are they going to connect and overcome that together? The thing is, Pokemon Horizons has taken a very one-dimensional approach. If there's been a problem with the Pokemon and trainer bond, it's the trainer's fault. In the case of Liko, it's her lack of confidence, her fear of being and trepidation of taking that first step closer, to be closer to her Pokemon, and feeling that she's lagging behind others, which oftentimes affected her bonds with other Pokemon. And once she took that step, everything was fixed. With Roy, it was his overconfidence. He was so overconfident, headstrong, feeling like he can sing a victory song and everything is going to be better. And then he learns something, presumably from the battle with Rhyme, about how that's not always going to be the right way to go. And he has to really sit back and think and connect with his Pokemon. And once he sat back, thought, and connected, that's all he needed to do. Now, with Chimchar's trauma and these various issues, no amount of simply understanding Chimchar would have overcome that, would have gotten Ash any closer to controlling Blaze. This took multiple aspects of work across multiple episodes to be able to pull off. And Chimchar is just one of many examples. The Grovyle forgetting to forgetting all of its Pokemon moves due to trauma of being heartbroken. Oshawott having fear of keeping its eyes open underwater. Litten having its Stoutland adoptive puppy father die before it was able to learn any of the moves it was trying to teach it. All of these things that Ash had to overcome, more than just being like, I'm in tune with you, I'm connected now. When Pokemon Horizons tackled a bond issue, once the trainer corrected everything was fixed. They did not go any deeper. They did not scratch under the surface for anything more, other than like the Umbreon Spinel. That's the only area you could have mined out anything. And so when they introduced Strong Spheres, I was initially optimistic because this purported to be an arc that was going to heavily focus on trainer and Pokemon bonds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, finally, we've seen so many so many issues already with Liko, Roy, and everybody else having overconfidence, underconfidence issues. And I'm wanting to see like Pokemon that feel they aren't living up to their trainers' expectations, feeling they need to be dependent on these strong spheres, or recognizing that their trainers doing a lot of work to help them and they're lagging behind, some sort of a focus on the Pokemon side of this bond, and that never happened. It was always the trainers having the same confidence issues, not believing in their Pokemon enough, the same issues we saw time and time again with Liko, Roy, and Dot. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They solely focused on the same issue, the trainer, the trainer, the trainer, the trainer, the trainer, and it was never the Pokemon. And so it was not something I could really put into words why I wasn't getting into the show until the Strong Spheres started, because once that happened, I immediately clocked the problem. I noticed that we're just not getting arcs where the Pokemon are becoming distant from their trainers, or they're having something that needs to be corrected more than just the trainer believing in themselves more, or believing in their Pokemon more. It's something overt that the Pokemon needed to do. And that, my friends, is why I just could not get into Pokemon Horizons. I just did not have the same level of investment. Once the trainers learned their moral lesson of the day, that was it. That's as much development as you're really going to get out of the Pokemon. We have mysteries to solve and unravel. We've got Recurrium to stop. We've got all these other things to do. We don't have time to stop and focus on Pokemon other than Spinel and Umbreon. And that was a mistake, I thought. Those are really my thoughts so far. Again, I don't hate the show, but it is by far my least favorite. Even in Black and White, the worst of the worst in terms of Ash writing and story, still had really, really good Pokemon development. Ash had like a full team in under 20 episodes. He had like a Scraggy hatch, and that was the 6th Pokemon in the Unova region. It's the fastest he's assembled a 6-person team ever in any season that we've ever seen of Pokemon. So even that had some interesting, compelling Pokemon stories, especially with Oshawott and everybody else with their issues they had to overcome, even though Ash was an idiot. So it was still tolerable to watch in that aspect, even if it was intolerable to watch from Ash. So let me know what you think. Are you enjoying Pokemon Horizons? Does anyone feel the same way I do? That they're just kind of missing the mark in terms of what made the Pokemon and trainer dynamic interesting? Let me know in the comments. But thanks, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.